Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Super Talk. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Super Talks. Excited today. We have one of our wonderful board members here with us today. We also have Demond, but we're excited, Demond. We got Dr. Bettis here with us today.
Absolutely.
Been on the board for 13 years.
Yes.
Doc, thanks for taking time from your busy schedule to be here with us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. What questions do you have for Doc?
First off, it is an honor to have you here on the Super Talk. And I will tell you, for me, why it's such an honor. Beyond the fact of you serving on this board, which is absolutely phenomenal, the amazing accomplishments that you've had in your life, I'm absolutely amazed by your story. Because I find it interesting on how you can start off in a small place and grow and go beyond anybody's imagination. I mean, I'm reading about things about you that, I mean, you own 6 businesses, maybe more by now. You are serving on the Board of Regency. You serve on the school board. You've done all of these incredible things in your life, been in the military, just so many amazing things. And I wanted to know from you, like, when you were a kid, did you sit back and think, you know, when you get to where you are now, did you imagine then that you would be where you are now? And kind of where in your thinking did that trajectory kind of start happening for you?
Well, I appreciate the question. So I feel like a little bit like a turtle on a fence post, and I didn't get here alone. So I had a lot of help along the way. For me, I mean, honestly, no. I mean, when I was a kid, very tough childhood in many ways. Port Isabel, not the easiest place to grow up. My parents were working, middle class. I mean, working hard. My father wasn't formally educated. He for many years worked. He worked in the JCs initially, and then he worked, in the lumber supply company, and then later on he was a postal. Well, he actually was an entrepreneur. Had a store, ran a little convenience store for about 7-8 years. But actually, when I was in junior high and high school, and then was a postal worker for 20 years.
Wow.
My mother was the educator. She was formally educated, and she, was the one always, checking on me, making sure I was studying, making sure I was doing everything I could in school and everything else. But it was tough in the sense I was a middle just humble beginnings, and growing up in PI is a tough community. A lot of distractions with South Padre Island and that kind of stuff. And so for me, it wasn't something that came sort of naturally to me initially, although I had amazing parents. I think those are my 2 heroes that really in different ways influenced. One was more tough, my father than my mother, but my mother was also tough in terms of pushing education and academics and things like that. I never saw sort of, that I could really, do. I mean, I wasn't like thinking like, oh my God, I can do all these amazing things that I'm doing now. I never really planned it that way. I think it just happened organically and naturally later on through meeting different mentors in my life. And so I think for me, it was just my parents obviously gave me a foundation and pushed me hard, but just the grit of childhood and the grit of just going through life, and then the struggles through school, and then doing well, and then going to UT. But then along the way, meeting some incredible and allowing myself to walk through doors that were open for me, and to be impacted by mentors and be open to that. For me, I think that's why I'm where I am. So.
And that's what's so powerful. So to all the students out there, I know that you have big dreams, and I think that Dr. Perez talks about the importance of hard work and resiliency and having grit and grind and doing what it takes. And I think that we can all learn from that. But yeah, I thought about that, being from Port Isabel, growing up, going on to medical school, graduating from medical school, and then going to the military. How did that work? Because that's not as traditional to get your degree in medicine and then sign up. How did that play out?
Yeah, so my father served in the Army. My grandfather also served in the Army, and my grandfather was a pilot. In the Army. That was when they were in World War II, when they were becoming. He wasn't a pilot actually, but he worked in the crew. Mm-hmm. So he was on the airplanes, and so he. And that was the transition. I forget what they call it, but it was when the Army began to sort of create the Air Force, right? And so, in fact, he had a lot of funny stories where those bulletproof helmets, right? Well, they used to sit on their helmets, right? Because during World War II, you're in the air, you're getting the bullets are coming this way, right? So helmet does you no good on their head, and so they would sit on their helmets. Wow. And he's had a story where a couple of the guys, the helmet saved him from getting shot, where. Wow. So kind of cool stories like that. But so I had an itch to serve because of my father, my grandfather. That's my mother's father, incredible guy, and so for me, when I was in medical school, I looked at all these kind of my student debt from college into medical school kind of like piling up. I said, gosh, well, it's got to be a better way to do this. And I had this itch to serve my country, and so. For me, I applied for what they call a health profession scholarship program, which is the way the military, they don't have enough medical schools to create the number of physicians they need. There's one medical school in Bethesda, Maryland called USHS, I forget what it's called, but Uniform Services University of the Health Sciences. So they get most of their physicians through the regular medical school route. So they go out to medical schools and they say, hey, do you want to serve? And you apply, and there's a scholarship process, and then go through a physical fitness test, all these kind of things. And then I got selected, and so that's how I ended up paying for my medical school. So after medical school, they showed up for my graduation. And right after, walked the stage, got my diploma and everything else, they were waiting for me off to the side. And I went over there, and they swore me in, and I was an officer in the United States Navy. And so that was my experience. I went in as an officer, as a general medical officer. And it was an incredible 4 years. I credit a lot of, leadership skills and a lot of work ethic and a lot of just, learning how to work in a team and becoming more mature. And I mean, there was just a lot of growth in those 4 years, and it opened a lot of doors for me.
And I think that's interesting because another thing that's a very impressive is that you didn't only go to medical school. You came out of medical school and created a business, right? So you're a businessman. It's just not a medical doctor. You have clinics in Brownsville, in Harlingen, in McAllen. I know you have this beautiful facility that you just built. So talk to us about that. Was that your vision to build a business, or how'd that play out?
No, I mean, so after the Navy, got out, finished my internal medicine residency here in Harlingen at the Regional Academic Health Center at that time. UT Health Science Center San Antonio had created a regional academic health center here in Harlingen. I was a part of that. I was the first. They had medical students rotate, third and fourth year medical students, but they also had internal medicine residency program, and I had to finish my residency. So I came in and I was a senior resident because they needed some senior residents. And so I was basically the first cohort that went through. And then so it was a 2-year program in 2002, and then I graduated in 2004, and then during that process, I realized I wanted to do gastroenterology. I wanted to subspecialize. And so I applied all over. And luckily, I was able to get a fellowship in Michigan. I would have gone anywhere. And in Michigan, Detroit was something where I was able to get a fellowship. Very, very competitive. And so that's what I did, and went over there for 3 years. But during that 2 years that I was here in Harlingen at the Regional Academic Health Center doing my internal medicine residency, I made of course, I'm from Port Isabel, from the Valley, but I met a lot of incredible people. They had just opened Harlingen Medical Center at that time. I was moonlighting there as an ER doc and then as a hospitalist as well. So even as a resident, I had moonlighted at the Navy at Kaiser Permanente in San Diego. So I had a lot of experience already working outside of even the military. So I had a lot of clinical experience, and I was able to bring that and make a little extra money, but also sort of learn, the different options out there. And so that's what I did during the 2 years I was here. So when I went off to do my fellowship, I realized, God, I got to go back there. The doors are going to be wide open. I'm going to have so many opportunities there because I know all the doctors, I know the area, I know everything. And so I that's what I wanted to do. Now, of course, I didn't know how to run a business. Some may say I still don't, but that's okay. But I knew that I wanted to go back and not necessarily work for someone else or work for a hospital, be employed, but try to do it on my own. And again, it goes back to mentors. I talk to a lot of doctors out there in the community. I have a cousin that's was an OBGYN, is an OBGYN physician, 11 years my senior. And so he was one of them. I talked to many people, and they all kept telling me, Nolan, you're going to do so well. You're going to do fine. You need to just open your own practice. And so, big risk, to go into debt and to, buy an office. So I bought an office. So for my fellowship, my wife and I, we bought it, and we basically went into debt constructing it, had to build it out and everything else, and hire staff. And so when I came down here in 2007, I had a list of about 300 patients that were waiting to see me, because some of my friends would save up patients the last month or two. They said, hey, when you get here, you're going to have a lot of patients ready to see. And they did that, and it was kind of cool. So we started, and we were pretty not crazy busy, but we got busy, and it was just sort of we made it work. We started with just me and my wife and 4 other staff members, to a team of 5, and then slowly over time, didn't hire my next doctor to 2017. So fast forward 10 years later, I hired my advanced practice provider a couple of years later in 2009. But it took me a while to find it so hard to recruit physicians to come down here. Not anymore. It's a little bit easier. But over the years, it's been one of the most challenging things is to get folks to come, because you have to convince the physician and their spouse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes I had like 4 or 5. And I had a couple of folks sign their contract, and then they call me back and say, well, my spouse, my wife, or my husband doesn't want to. So then it was just like, wow, So finally in 2017, I hired a next doctor, and from there, it kind of really, I had in those 10 years learned a lot, and learned how to, build a business, learn how to build programs, learn how to manage people, and then so the rest is history. So now we're a little bit larger, like you said. We have offices and surgery centers in McAllen, Harlingen, and Brownsville. We've got about 47 providers, 120 staff members, wow. And so we're just getting started.
Congratulations, and I hope that inspires a student out there to go out and not only get a medical degree, but go out and look at the business side of it. And I know that outside of medicine and that practice, you also have businesses in real estate and other things. So you kind of have a diverse portfolio with regard to business. So congratulations to you. Yeah, we're proud of you.
For me, I appreciate that. For me, I just focus on. I don't think about it from a business standpoint. I don't think about it from any of that. For me, what drives me, and I wish I had my phone around, I'd show you, but it's sort of we have a diagram that drives what we do in our company, and it's our why, how, and our what, right? And so the why is kind of what drives us. It's our mission, it's our passion, what we do, and it's just 3 simple words: we help people. And I wake up every day just thinking, how can I help somebody today? What can I do to help somebody today? When I knock on the door to walk into a patient room, I'm thinking, how can I help this? How can I make a connection with this patient? And how can I help this patient? Mm-hmm. Even when I'm outside of work, I try to do the same thing in everything I do. And I think when you just go out there to serve and to help people, I think everything else takes care of itself.
I love that.
I have 2 things that I wanted to talk to you about, but I'll talk about one, and then hopefully we'll be able to circle back to the other one. As I look at your story, one of the things that I'm most moved by, and one thing or whatever that I really want to really apply in my own life, I, like a lot of people, want things now. Like, not tomorrow, right now. I'm not getting any younger. Gray hair is kicking in. Gray hair is absolutely taken over to me at this point.
Listen, I'm not going to feel sorry for any hair comment or any hair.
But
nice try, but go ahead.
But my whole thing is you had a lot of patience. You were in school a long time. And a lot of people can look at you now and go, well, yeah, but look at where you are now. But it was during those times when I'm sure there had to have been times when you could even see the ends, let alone how ends were actually going to meet. When you could see other people, whatever, that were clearly running ahead of you, but you were still doing what you needed to do at the pace that you needed to do it. Like when you said you started it in 2007 and you didn't expand until 2017, that's patience. To get the degree in itself is patience. To invest in it is patience. To believe that it's going to eventually happen. And I wondered if you could kind of speak to that, like, what is that like? Is there a lot of frustration? Is there a lot of anxiety in that? Is there a lot of joy in that? Like, what keeps you going so that you don't just go, I didn't see it happen today, so thus I'm a failure at that time?
Well, I mean, that's a great question and a great point. I mean, you're right. It is frustrating. Everyone naturally does want something now, but it's just not the way the world works, right? And and in fact, so oftentimes there's a lot of stumbles. There's a lot of failures along the way. Your job is to learn from those things and grow through them and say, okay, well, this didn't work. This was a lesson. What's there to learn from it? I mean, keep going forward. But it all goes back to starting out with figuring out what you want to do. What drives you? What's going to be fulfillment? What's going to be purpose for you? And so success isn't about degrees or, the amount of money you have in the bank or any of that stuff. Success is about basically finding and creating purpose and fulfillment. And when you can do that, and I'm blessed to have a job that combines my passion with contribution, because of my job that I love to do, because of my, Texas Digestive Specialists that we've created and the people I get to work with, the physicians, the operational leaders. I may be the CEO of the company, but I have a lot of amazing operational leaders that run. You don't want me running a clinic. I'll screw it up. But the amazing thing to work with such amazing people serving our patients and our community is incredible. But that job has also, right, to your point earlier, led me to be able to mentor kids, to mentor students, high school students, college students, medical students, residents, right, fellows and fellowship and things like that, folks that I've mentored and I continue to mentor over the years. It's allowed me to do that. It's allowed me to serve in the school board. It's allowed me to serve on different nonprofit boards, a banking board, and now, Texas Women's University Board of Regents and now the UT System Board of Regents. It's just allowed me the ability to have all these other opportunities to serve and to help and that kind of stuff. And so for me, going back to your question, it is a lot about struggles. It's about grit. It's about learning through failure, learning from failure. But it's a lot of delayed gratification. You have to understand that will come. But if you're in a hurry, then you'll start saying yes to everything instead of losing focus on what's my purpose, what's going to fulfill me, what's going to fill my cup, and then just stay filled up. But you got to stay filled up, but you got to fill yourself up in your own way, because sometimes you look at your bank account or you look at this or you look at whatever, your other metric other people use, which I don't, but if you start using other metrics that don't necessarily matter, then you're likely to say yes or get distracted or take the wrong turn in the road because you want something quick, something now. And that's not necessarily, that could be a distraction and takes you away from your why, takes you away from your purpose and that kind of stuff. So I think you just got to stay focused and stay with it. Keep learning through failure, but understand that having, delayed gratification and understanding that you need to believe in that will take you to a much greater place where you can help people and make this world a better place.
Yeah, wow. I love that. And I know there's a lot of viewers out there that can all relate to that, but we really, regardless of what we do for a living, is we need to take that to heart with regard to, delayed gratification and putting in the work and understanding your why and everything that you do. So not only the students that are out there that have dreams, but also the moms and dads and community members. It's just, we can all, that's what I love about the Super Talk is we get to meet wonderful people, tell wonderful stories, and then hopefully inspire somebody out there to be better for it. But Doc, man, I'm just so proud that you're on our board. And you mentioned you're on the Board of Regents for UT and Texas Women's and all the other things that you do. It's just a long list. But who's your hero?
Well, I think my parents are probably my heroes. I don't think I can single out one, but And I would also include all the mentors there's so many. The first one that really basically was responsible for me becoming a physician was my high school chemistry teacher.
Oh, wow.
When one day, keeps me after school, he had been asking me for months and I hadn't come up with an answer of what am I going to major in and what am I going to do? What am I going to be when I grow up? And I'm like, sir, I'm going to UT. That's all I know. I'll figure it out when I get there. And he's finally just one day got really upset and said, this is unacceptable. Get your butt here after school. He told me just like that. And I'm like, sir, what did I, and so there I go after school. I'm thinking I'm in trouble and everything else. And, he had even talked to the principal and the principal says, hey, you're going to go meet with Dr. Garcia, right? I was like, what is going on here? Like, now the principal's in on this? Like, I must have screwed up, and I don't know what, no telling what I had done. I was one of those travieso kids, so I went, but I was a great student and I went back basically at that time he told me, he says, Nolan, you're one of the best students I ever had. In fact, the best student I've ever had. He's like, I'm just not going to allow you to go to college without a plan. I'm not going to allow you to go into debt or waste your parents' money or go into debt, and waste your own money. He said, but, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry, sir. I haven't. He said, no, just listen. And he says, I've already figured that out for you. I said, and I looked at him and I was like, then now he had my attention. And I said, okay, sir. He's like, you're going to be a physician. And I looked at him and I said, you mean and we said it at the same time, you mean a medical doctor? He says, that's right. And for me, it's my parents in terms of, they're just what they sacrifice to allow me the opportunities to go to higher ed, and to keep sending me money monthly to help get me through college. The toughness that my father had of always, pushing me harder and saying that's not good enough and things like that. Of course, the unconditional love my mom gave, but also the support pushing me to academics. But then teachers like that, and then other mentors that came along the way that I got to know that just inspired me. And so for me, when I visit our schools in Harlingen CISD, and when I even see I'm an adult gastroenterologist, so I don't often see little kids, but when I see the grandkids or children of my patients, and I see the first thing I always tell them, I look at them and I ask them their name and everything else, and I ask them, well, how come you're not in school? Of course, it's usually 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. or something, or like a holiday or the summer. And they're looking at me like I'm, not very smart. But then I make a joke about that. And I say, well, how come you're not reading a book? I said, you have books, right? And so, maybe they're on their phone or something else. And so I talk about reading. And then I always tell them, what kind of doctor are you going to be when you grow up? So what kind of doctor do you want to be? And then, oftentimes it's a message even for the parent, right? To understand like anything's possible. And really that is my message when I talk to school with students here in HCISD when I'm visiting. If I can do it, trust me when I say this, if I can be a physician, if I can run the business, if I can do all these things I'm doing, anybody can do it. Talent is universal, right? Opportunity is not. It's about creating those opportunities and taking advantage of those doors that open for you, taking advantage of the educational systems and working hard, making right decisions, and understanding that anything's possible. And I hope all the parents out there understand that anything's possible. And I think that if folks knew that, how powerful this brain is, that anybody can do it. So for me, my heroes are my parents, but also all the mentors that came along the way.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And just your parents must be proud, your whole family. I know that you've put a lot into it, and just a kid from Port Isabel that was, working hard in school, and you played baseball, you played football, so you're also an athlete and just had a lot going on. So, man, that's something special. Damon, as we close, anything for Doc before we let him get back to his busy schedule?
Well, it is your busy schedule that I wanted to ask you about. So it's difficult for me sometimes to manage my 4 dogs, okay? And the school and the life and the... You running 6, 7, 12, 15 businesses. You're a dad. You're a husband. You're a son. You've got so many obligations, so many boards, so many people that count on you, all of your employees, everything. How do you not lose yourself in all of that? How do you keep life and work and all that? Because every time I see you, you always look well rested. I don't know if it's a great show you got going on or whatever it is, but you look well rested. You look ready to rock and roll. And I always think to myself, if you can do all of that, surely I can manage these chihuahuas. So how do you do it in all seriousness?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think for me, I just focus, you know, on what it is I need to control, what it is I need to spend my time on, and a lot of it's just, you know, for our company, you know, a lot of it's just, you know, at the top, the governance and the oversight part of it, the operations, just like the school district, right? I mean, the board is awesome. We have an amazing board, right? But it's about the governance and doing things in the right way, and in terms of, you know, focusing in that space. And in that space, you can do a lot, right? Strategic thinking, strategy, a lot of that, you know, of how the company grows. A lot of that's me and our team, and then the oversight and doing it the right way. But all the magic happens here in the operations, right? Just like in the school district, right? All the magic starts with Dr. Gonzalez and his team of, you know, the senior team, and then all the principals, right? I call them mayors of small cities because they're incredible. I don't know how they do it, but all the magic happens, right, in the operations, and not understanding that, not forgetting that, and understanding that. That's where all that's how we educate our students and inspire them and create all these opportunities for them in this space. Same thing for my company. It's the same thing. So I have a lot of great people here that I trust and that I delegate things to and stuff, and I don't micromanage them. If I did, it would drive me nuts, you know, and I can't, so I can't do it. Now, there's times we have weekly huddles. So I have a schedule where I have huddles with a team because, again, I am the CEO, right? But so I have constant huddles and I check in with them all the time and things like that. And but I focus on what I need to focus on to really drive, you know, the whole company in the space that's most effective for the company and most effective for me. And in doing that, it becomes more manageable because I'm not in the weeds, because I'm not trying to micromanage everything and that kind of stuff. And it's tempting sometimes because I hear something and it's tempting to me to pick up the phone and say, why are we doing this? So I just make a note of it, follow up with my team, say, hey, I heard this, I heard that. So, yeah, no, we're looking into this. We're going to change this. But if every time I hear something that I don't like and I make phone, I mean, I can really cause chaos in the system, right? And so I think at the end of it, you got to respect this special space that's called the operational, where all the magic happens, and again, understanding that, you know, yes, push it, have higher expectations, set the strategic course, set the ship wherever you want it to go in the right direction and everything else. But then support the heck out of it, and then allow it to do its work and do the oversight, but do it in the right way. Right. That's what gets a lot of boards in trouble. That's what gets a lot of companies in trouble when the CEO and the governing structure board, you know, does oversight to the business in the wrong way. And so I try to just respect those common principles, and a lot of amazing things can happen. So just like in the school district, the same thing in my company is how we succeed. I ask a lot of good questions of the people around me. I ask a lot of good questions. Well, why can't we do this? What about this? And then, of course, well, they want to please me. I'm the boss and I'm the CEO. So they say, well, gosh. And then next thing you know, they come up with some way and they figured it out. But I just ask good questions. And the same thing is true for the school district. We're not, you know, educators and we wouldn't know how to run a school district, but we hire people that do. We hire incredible educators, incredible senior team and stuff, and we just have to keep asking the right questions and pushing things in the right way, and then the rest, and then support, right, and do the oversight in the right way, and then amazing things can happen. So,
yeah, well, I just want to thank you, just on behalf of the entire HCISD family, because we do have a tremendous board, and you've been on the board for a long time, and I know that a big part of our success is we have a board that understands their role, has high expectations, holds us to very high expectations, but lets us do our work and supports us. So I want to thank you for that. And to all the listeners out there, I hope that you picked a nugget out in something with regard to the importance of running your organization or family advice or anything there, because we just want everybody to be better for watching the Super Talks. But Doc, any closing remarks for the community or for the world?
Well, just an honor to serve. Appreciate the community. I've always said Harlingen is a special place because Harlingen is a community that understands the importance of public schools. And you're blessed when you have a community that understands the importance of public schools and that supports it. And we're very blessed in Harlingen with our incredible community that supports this board, that supports our bold initiatives and bold, strategic thinking. And we've done a lot of incredible things, creating a school district of choice, and we're growing. And I think we're just, I can't wait to see all the things you're going to do, Dr. Gonzalez, in the future. But I'm super excited to serve. Appreciate the community for the opportunity to serve. And one last thing I'll tell all the parents out there that sometimes is not, it's not an obvious thing. A lot of people focus on, and I wish, I forgot when my kids were born, I lost that, that manual they give you how to parent and how to raise your kids when they're born. Anyway,
Yeah, I lost it too.
I lost it. Okay. But I wish but no, my kids are amazing. I love my children. They're incredible. But I would say focus on when you're talking to your kids at home, even when they're young and, all throughout the process, when they get home, ask them have conversations about what they did at school and what they learned, and make it about the learning and be curious and say, ask more questions, say more about that. What's that? Oh my God, that's incredible. Make it about the learning. And I think that's going to pay huge dividends. The other thing is make it about the effort. Oftentimes it's the grades and look, you got this grade. Oh my God, you're so smart or whatever. Telling kids they're smart, makes them become lazy sometimes. And so make it about like the effort, like, oh my God, look at this grade you got, and make it about teamwork. Like, who did you work with us in the project? Oh my God, you work with this people, because life is like that. You're working in a team, you're working on projects, you're working with, and so make it about who they worked with on that project. Make it about the effort that they studied so hard and they really focused so hard on that project or that test or that subject, and that's how we're able to get these kind of things. And because when you make it about learning and effort, my God, you just created a self-learner that's going to have unlimited opportunities in this world. And so I think that's what we should be talking to our kids about, and they'll do great things.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. I'm gonna do that when I get home. I got 3. I got one in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So we're gonna be talking about effort today. Devon, do you want to bring it home? What do you got?
I just want to tell you, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all that you're doing in the community, and thank you for not only setting an incredible example, but living the example for all of us. And I hope that the UT has also made you proud as well, being in the Final Four.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. So our brand continues to grow and get better, and so we're super excited. I mean, everything going on with the whole UT system. You look at what's happened down here, UT RGV. We can talk another hour about that, but UT Austin, our flagships, is special right now. Football success helps things in many, many ways, and so we're excited. We'll see how it goes on New Year's Day, but pretty pumped about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hope you guys enjoyed the Super Talks.
Take care, everybody.